Hi guys, welcome back to Inside Pro Cycling TV. Here we are with our third interview with Bill Shook of American Classic. I mean, we tried to do it in two, but there's too many little details that Bill is engaged in and making and innovations that he has. And we felt it would be a disservice if we didn't give it enough time because all of these things are really important and there's very few places you can actually see it. You know, a static ad on a magazine page is not going to give you the details, and particularly from the person himself who invented these things. So we're privileged to be back here with Bill, and we're going to talk about a couple more of the things that you have that are very, very unique. And I'd like to start with the hub, which you have there in your hand, because I know that you make your own hubs, and I know that they're quite off the beaten path. I mean, you're never satisfied with what's out there, and you want to improve on it. So, and I believe that this is definitely an improvement on it.
Oh yes. What I've come up with is a cam engaging system.
Excuse me, but Bill always likes to talk about we nothing.
Yeah.
He's the one that comes up with these things.
Yes, that's true. I've come up with a cam engaging system that times the pawls so that they will come into engagement.
Bring it up a little bit here so that we can actually see it better.
Okay. In this system there's 6 pawls, and what's unique about it is that the 6 pawls will engage together every time, and it's not a hit or miss system. They'll all come into engagement and they'll actually be fully in position before any load is transferred.
Okay, you mentioned to me that sometimes in some of the other hubs you do this and then you hear click, click, click. You know, you hear several clicks as opposed to one solid click. And actually I click it and then I see that it's instantly engaged. So I mean, you freewheel, but then you instantly are ready to put the load on it. And
Yeah,
it's engaged in 6 places.
It engages all 6 pawls. Actually, each pawl has 2 tips, so there's 12 points of engagement around the circle. And it's designed to be incredibly strong. In fact, when I set out to design this, the purpose was for mountain bike use, because mountain bikes at the time were having a lot of problems braking the coasting mechanisms because of the high torques that they were generating.
Sure,
they
with
use,
the low gears.
Yeah, they use very low gears. They get into situations where they have to punch it to get out, and it just puts a tremendous load on the coasting mechanism. So I designed this coasting mechanism to take tremendously high loads, and it turned out to be so slick and so lightweight that for road use it's perfect. I mean,
awesome.
The hub is actually lighter than a standard hub because I'm able to use aluminum ratchet teeth, and they last because I can have all these points of engagement which give me a lot of surface contact area, so I can transfer loads directly into the aluminum.
Okay, but now American Classic hubs go in every American Classic wheel, is that correct?
That's correct.
So you're going to find this technology in all of the American Classic wheels?
That's correct.
Excellent. I know there's another very, very interesting piece of technology that you were talking and explaining to me earlier, and that's, again, little details. You know, I mean, little details that we don't really even look at, you know, when we're looking at buying a pair of wheels or when we're looking at using a pair of wheels, and that is the things that you're mad about, you know, little details. So why don't you describe this little detail here?
Okay, well, I've come up with a rather special spoke nipple. I wanted to use aluminum spoke nipples in our wheels because they're lighter.
Because of the lightweight, yeah.
And of course it's incredibly important in a wheel to make the rolling weight as light as possible. And people for a long time have been using aluminum spoke nipples, but they've always been copied after brass spoke nipples, and they have a tendency to break. And I looked at what was causing that and designed a nipple that would absolutely eliminate the cause. And what I've done is just countersink this nipple further and run the spoke further up into this tower on top of the spoke head, so that I'm loading the spoke head in compression instead of tension. A conventional nipple, you're loading the body of the nipple in tension and pulling on the head, and if you just copy that in aluminum, eventually the aluminum will fatigue and break and the heads pop off. And I think anybody that's been in the industry for very long
yeah.
has had that experience. You've
Many times.
Many times, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
You bet.
But with this design of aluminum nipple, I've never seen one fatigue and break. And I don't think it will happen because of the way it's being loaded. It's just completely different.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful. But now we got the piece de résistance here, as the French would say. You know, and this is a very sexy seat post, by the way, and it has incredible features built in. Again, details. But in this seat post is more than just details. I mean, the whole concept of the seat post is quite different from the ones out there.
It is. It's designed to be extremely adjustable. It can be used as a conventional road seat post where your offset is towards the back. It can be put into a bike so that you get an extreme forward offset, and that's beneficial for time trialing. Where you want to push the seat farther forward, you want to get farther forward on the bike. Well, you can do that with this same seat post. It's just that adjustable.
Well, what's the unique thing here too is that you can actually adjust this way, correct?
You can adjust it fore to aft, but you can also give it a little bit of a sideways tilt. And if somebody has a leg length discrepancy or other anatomical anomalies, they can actually tilt the seat side to side a little bit and compensate. And it makes a huge difference.
Well, I mean, we just heard from your wife that she said she got rid of back pain in one ride.
One ride. She'd been having back problems, and so we tilted her seat over and we knew which leg was longer, which one was shorter. We just tilted it a little bit, and one ride, her back pain was gone.
And I dare say that I would say practically everybody has a little bit of a discrepancy in leg length.
Probably.
I would think so. I mean, most people do, otherwise probably chiropractors wouldn't be around. You know? But now, I'd like to actually mention something, because in approximately 1 month is going to be the Interbike show, and Bill is going to be there with all his new things, and there's some really, really interesting new things that you're working on that we're not going to mention here because they're going to be launched at the show. But what we would like to do, Bill, is actually come back and interview you about these things right after the show. So
well, I would enjoy that.
If you can have us here and we can give our audience sort of like a primer on what this been going on in your head here the last few months that you're going to launch at the show.
I would actually enjoy that. As you may have noticed, I love to talk about this stuff.
Yes, and we'd love to hear you talk about it. Bill, thank you very much. You've been very hospitable, and you've certainly been giving us a lot of good information. So thanks to Bill, and thanks to you guys. See you soon.